3 weeks after Election Day, the U.S. government is finally recognizing Joe Biden as president-elect and beginning the formal transition process, although President Trump says he's still not conceding. In the past, this handoff from an outgoing president to the next office holder has typically been carried out with grace, even after bruising campaigns and when the new president has very different goals. Chip Reid has been looking into the history of this essential custom.
Please know that you will have my support in unifying and leading the nation.
In a normal presidential election, the losing candidate first offers words of support.
Whatever our differences, we are fellow Americans.
Then comes a meeting of former rivals.
We should work together.
A symbol it's time for the country to come together.
Because if you succeed, then the country succeeds.
Then the real work gets underway.
There are things that I need to know.
He can start naming officials. He can start articulating policies. He started to talk to foreign leaders.
The custom is as old as the presidency itself, according to David Marchick, director of the Center for Presidential Transition.
For 223 years, we've had a peaceful transition of power ever since George Washington handed the keys to John Adams. We've had good transitions. We've had bad transitions. This is an unusual transition.
Bad transitions have happened before. After the election of 1860, 7 states seceded from the Union before President-elect Abraham Lincoln's inauguration. And in 2000, a lengthy recount delayed the transition by more than a month.
I offer my concession.
Leaving President-elect George W. Bush just 37 days before his inauguration, about half the normal amount of time.
I, George Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
The bipartisan 9/11 Commission concluded that the shortened transition left the country vulnerable to a terrorist attack because national security officials were playing catch-up.
Most Americans think this transition is just beginning. That's not true.
The transition work started the day after the last inauguration. There are hundreds of career officials all across the government that prepare for whomever wins.
In a typical transition, teams from both sides are in place months before a winner is decided, and the sitting president works to help his successor succeed. Martha Joint Kumar has been studying transitions for decades.
Transition is supposed to be one where the outgoing administration is helpful to the incoming administration in terms of making available materials from the departments and agencies.
In modern times, has there ever been a president who has resisted participating in the transition?
No, they have not. You've had the Presidential Transitions Act, which made it very clear that the federal government had a role in transitions.
And with the coronavirus still raging, the stakes for a smooth transfer of power are extremely high.
There are thousands of officials all across the government, particularly the Pentagon and the Department of Health, that want to get the vaccine out to 300 million Americans, and the sooner the Biden team can start working with those officials, the more ready they're going to be on January 20th.
The General Services Administration is usually an obscure government agency, but with the president's permission, it has now given the Biden transition team access to $6 million in transition funds, and that means they don't have to do their own fundraising to pay their expenses anymore. Tony?
That's something. They're calling him the apparent winner. I keep thinking of that historian who said we've had good transitions and bad transitions, and this one is unusual.
Very diplomatic word.
I wonder what they'll be saying in 30 years hence. We shall see. I'll stick around for it. Chip, thank you very much. We appreciate it.